Okay, so part two. We find out I have a brain tumor, and they hook me up to an EEG. Dana spends the night with me that night. If you can really call it a night, we barely got any sleep that night. They hook me up to an EEG to see if I have any other more seizure activity. I don't. And we're scheduled for the craniotomy on the 6th. So I drive through the house on the 3rd. My craniotomy is scheduled for the 6th. So, and that's because of the July 4th holiday. So I have a couple of days to do stuff like make critical phone calls, contact everybody, let everybody know what's going on. Krista comes to the house, gets all my power of attorney, trust will, information, all that good paperwork. We get Ringo picked up, transported over to Krista's house, pick up clothes and stuff like that. I have to let family know and stuff like that. So very matter of fact. I was very clear, level-headed. I remember I don't remember. Deb told me that I texted her the next day on the 4th and said, hey, I'm in the hospital. They found a brain tumor. We think it's benign. Do you want to come visit me? Because she lived close to the hospital. Do you want to come visit me? Maybe bring me a cheeseburger and a shake. And she was like, okay. So, so I think we were all under the hope that it would be benign. Although my friends tell me now that anybody in the medical field, as soon as they saw my CT scan, they were all like, that looks bad. So, so everybody was alerted. We all knew that this was serious, having brain surgery on the 6th. So, on the 6th, I get wheeled back into my craniotomy, and the deal was that we were going to try to take it all out. And we did. And what was interesting about my craniotomy was that my friends actually found out that I had glioblastoma before I did, because of course, I was still coming out of surgery, still waking up before, so I still had to come out of surgery. And so the doctor went and talked to my friends before I was awake. And so Dana and my friends got the news before I did, and they said, hey, it's presenting like glioblastoma, and which is of course the worst of the worst. And Dana was like, okay, so the first thing she's going to ask is what her prognosis is. And the surgeon was like, well, we don't typically tell patients that. And Dana's like, well, she's going to ask. And the doctor was like, well, we don't typically tell patients that. And so anyway, there's this, huge funny story that Dana is so good at telling about how she basically kind of got in a fight with my neurosurgeon about the fact that Dana was basically telling the neurosurgeon, like, she's going to ask, like, I know her. She's been my friend for like a million years. She's immediately going to ask, what's my prognosis? And the surgeon's basically saying, well, we don't like to tell patients that. And, Dana's like, well, that's the way my friend is. So basically the neurosurgeon was like, fine, if she asks, I'll tell her. And Dana's like, she's going to ask. And so sure enough, I don't remember this conversation, by the way. Apparently, when I woke up, they said, we're pretty sure that it's glioblastoma. And I immediately asked, what's my prognosis? And so he told me, 14 to 18 months. And they say pretty sure because they have to send it off, but they can tell by looking at it. And of course they were right. And so it was a total resection, meaning that they got the entire tumor, and it was 4 centimeters big. And what was interesting is when they took it out and they came in and they talked to us, and they said it was about the size of a tangerine, and I was very loopy and I didn't know what the word tangerine was. And they were like, it's the size of a cutie. That's another fun story. And they told me that right after my surgery that I would be placed in neuro ICU. Well, let me tell you, neuro ICU is full of crazy people. And so I would be placed there for 24 hours, and it was 24 hours of crazy people. So it was me, I'm sitting there, just, minding my own business. There was another person like next door to me that had two armed cops standing outside his door. And there was another person a couple doors down that kept screaming like intermittently. And those were my neighbors in neuro ICU. And it was nutso. Of course, if you think about it, it's neuro ICU. So, needless to say, I was like, what milestones, because, I'm in IT, I'm like, what milestones do I need to complete in order to get out of here? Because homegirl needs to get out of neuro ICU. So, and I think the nurses were even like, why are you here? And I was like, well, I just had a craniotomy. So I have had and have a pretty big scar on my head because it was in my parietal lobe. The tumor was. And the other fun thing is we went back and forth on whether or not they should shave me completely. And I was like, no, I don't want to be shaved completely. So we compromised on a runway scar. So I have, a big scar from here to here where they shaved me and cut me open. So they cut me open and took the tumor out. And so I had like this huge, just ginormous, it was awful, stapled and the whole thing. So we got me back into a regular room, and then 2 days later I left because I was like, I'm tired of being here. I don't want to be here anymore. But when I left, I had to have 24/7 care from my friends for about 2 months. I walked and talked like a drunk toddler. I couldn't be trusted to take my medicine on time. I could only complete one task at a time. I had severe cognitive deficits, severe sensory deficits. And, if you want to read more about that, that's where my Caring Bridge site picks up. And that's when I decided to start my Caring Bridge site. So I think that completes all of the reflection. Needless to say, it was a pretty horrific experience. So today is July 4th, 2024. I successfully watched fireworks last night without driving through a house, so rock on! Very happy to report that, and drove home without driving through a house, so success! Very happy to report that. So there we go. So we have reflected over how we got here, and if you want to hear more about my journey, please just go to my Caring Bridge site and just kind of start at the very beginning of the site and start at the beginning of my journal entries, and you can read all about how I was drunk and high at church and how my central nervous system couldn't regulate itself. Like, it's been a whole journey. So I think we have successfully completed reflection. So back to normal programming. By the way, I'm about to start another round of chemo. Sweet. Or, this is round 9, so we're about to start round 9. So that means 3 more to go. Rock on. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.